What makes a future worth living in? Episode 18. Survival decides who remains. Meaning decides why it matters. This is the Sci-Fi Griot. I'm your host, Nicholas Cunningham. Over the last several episodes, we've asked difficult questions. What does survival cost one person? When does love become a risk? Who gets to be saved? Those questions matter. But today we're stepping beyond survival itself. Because survival is not the same as living. History is full of futures that endures, but lost their soul in the process. Science fiction understands this. That's why after the crisis ended, after the sacrifice is made, after the selection is complete, the real question finally arrives. What makes a future worth living in it at all? Survival is a low bar. Science fiction is filled with worlds that survive. Civilizations continue. Technology continues to advance, and system eventually stabilizes. And yet, something feels wrong because survival only answers one question. Did we make it? It does not answer who did we become or what did we lose or even what did we decide was acceptable. It doesn't ask those questions. A future that survives but strips people of dignity is not a success. It's actually a warning. Science fiction keeps returning to the same idea. If survival is the only metrics, then anything can be justified. Let's take the film Blade Runner 2049. In Blade Runner 2049, it is obsessed with memory, not nostalgia, not but proof. Proof that life matters. The replicants survive. They function, they obey. What they crave is not freedom first, is recognition. To know that their experiences meant something, that their memories weren't just implanted, but earned. The film asks, if your life leaves no trace, was it truly a life? A future worth living in must allow people to remember and be remembered, because memory is how dignity survives time. Galactic Gattaca, the film, imagine a future that is clean, efficient, and orderly. No war, no chaos, no overt cruelty. And yet, human worth is predetermined. Your future is decided before you speak your first words. Vincent rebellion isn't loud, but is persistent. He refuses to accept that his value can be measured genetically. Gattaca makes a quiet but radical claim. A future worth living in must allow people to exceed what they were designed to be. Not optimized human, but unpredictable ones. Interstellar was a film that presents a dying Earth. Humanity survived by leaving the planet, But the film insists that survival alone won't save us. What crosses time, space, and even extension is not intelligent, it's love. Not sentimental love, but connection that refuses to disappear. The bond between Cooper and his daughter outlives planets. It outlives equations. Science fiction rarely makes this claim so boldly that love is not a weakness, it's infrastructure. A future without connection might endure, but it won't mean anything. What these films agree on is what they agree on and what they disagree on. These films disagree on tone, scale, and outcome, but they agree on something essential. A future worth living in requires the following: dignity, memory, choice, and connection. Not perfection, not immorality, not even happiness, but meaning. Think about it for a moment and reflect out loud. Which of those feel most fragile today? Memory, dignity, choice, or connection? Let that sink in for just a moment and ask, which of those feel most fragile today? Moving on, why technology is never the answer alone. None of these films reject technology. They reject technological sufficiency. They warns us three things. Number one, progress without ethics hollows out meaning. Two, survival without humanity becomes maintenance. And third, efficiency without compassion erases people. Science fiction isn't anti future, it's anti empty future. Science fiction treats the future as something we build, not discover, which means it reflects on three things: what we protect, what we excuse, and what we refuse to question. Here's another brief reflection that I want to do or want to say. The future doesn't fail all at once. It failed by forgetting what it was supposed to be for. Let that sink in as I repeat it. The future doesn't fail all at once. It failed by forgetting what it was supposed to be for. We began this mini arch asking what survival costs. We ended asking what survival is for. That arch matters because it mirrors real life. We don't live inside a constant crisis. We live in the aftermath. And what we choose to rebuild or ignore defines the future far more than the disaster itself. As we close this episode and the arch, so what makes a future worth living in? Science fiction's answer is not universal, but it is consistent. A future is worth living in when people matter more than systems, when memory outlasts utility, when dignity survives optimization, when love isn't dismissed as inefficient. This mini arch wasn't about warning you, it was about inviting you to imagine carefully, to refuse future that survive at the cost of meaning. If you think about it for a final reflection, if the future arrived tomorrow, what will make it worth waking up in? And what would you refuse to sacrifice again? This has been the Sci Fi Griot, a place to slow down, to reflect, and to imagine futures that are not only possible, but worth it.